Now to the controversy over the immigration enforcement bill that passed in the state legislature in Arizona. It would be one of the toughest, as I mentioned, in the nation, giving state and local police broad powers to, among other things, check an individual's immigration papers if they reasonably suspect that they are in this country illegally. And as we said, it has sparked protests, which resulted in arrests. And joining us now from Phoenix is Republican State Senator Frank Antenori, who supported the measure, which is now awaiting the governor's signature. Thank you, sir, for joining us. So let me hear your best argument for people who may be saying out there, come on, this is too much. What's your best way to convince them that this is the right thing for Arizona?
Well, I'll give you the best argument. An Arizona judge just convicted a serial child rapist that raped 12 and 13-year-old girls to 165 years in prison. He had been deported 3 times and had numerous encounters with law enforcement officers. And just 2 weeks ago, we had an innocent Arizona rancher and his dog murdered by someone that had crossed into this country illegally, killed Mr. Krentz, and then walked back across the border into Mexico. This is Mr. Gutierrez talked about a civil rights issue. I don't know about any civil rights more important than your own life or the innocence of a child. And we have 17% of the people crossing the border in Arizona are here to commit crimes. Yes, I'll agree the vast majority are coming here looking for work. But how do you separate those that are here looking for a better life and those that are coming here to prey upon the citizens of Arizona? It's really simple. You enforce the law. And that's all this bill does. It encourages and enables law enforcement officers to enforce the law.
But in your example, let me
passed the law in 1986.
Let me go back to the example you gave with the person who committed those heinous, and I think anyone who's listening to this would say those are disgusting crimes. But you pointed out that that person had a list of other criminal issues that he'd faced in the past. Current law, if you're in the criminal justice system, police, state and local can check your immigration status. So that was a loophole that could have been avoided. You don't need this law to have enforced that. Once that individual was arrested in the past,
Ms. Hall, that's not true.
Could have been. What's the truth then? He could not. His status could not have been checked upon the first arrest.
We have sanctuary city policies in the state implemented by very liberal mayors and city councils
that protect criminals who've been arrested.
Police officers, yes, ma'am, they do. They are not allowed to ask for their status. So you have guys that are committing laws. 1/3 of the inmates in our prison system are here illegally. We have got to do something. The federal government has failed on a monumental level to secure the border between Arizona and Mexico. 50% of the people crossing the border are coming here through the Tucson sector, which is my legislative district, and a vast majority, 1 out of 5 of them, are here to commit crimes.
How do you avoid racial profiling, which is the major concern? You heard Luis Gutierrez, born in Chicago, Puerto Rican heritage, as American as you or myself. How do you avoid racial profiling?
Well, you know, the left loves to throw the race card, and the reality is we actually strengthen the civil rights provisions in this legislation to make it one of the most strict civil rights enforcement requirements in the state of Arizona. A law enforcement officer has to have a lawful encounter with someone before they can inquire their immigration status. So, for example, if you get pulled over for speeding, that is a lawful encounter, and then that police officer asks you for your driver's license, and you cannot produce any driver's license or any documentation whatsoever. Now he has what's known as reasonable suspicion. Now he is able, under this law, to inquire whether you're in the country illegally. And that's all this bill does. It just strengthens the enforcement provisions of already federal law that was passed in 1986. The Immigration Reform and Control Act allows officers, any officer, to enforce the law and make sure that people are in this country illegally. That's all it does.
Republican State Senator Frank Antenori, I appreciate your time. And I should also note that there are police in the state who say that they are unhappy with the bill as well. I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
No, ma'am, that's not true. The majority of law enforcement officers support it. It's only the chiefs of police.
You're saying that there are majority. I'm saying that there are some, which is my statement that you've attempted to correct. I said there were some, right? There are some, correct?
It's the chiefs of police who are appointed to those positions by members of the city council and mayors.
My only statement was that there are some police who are not happy, and that was my statement. And we're going to end it there. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Very few.
It was a pleasure having you on. Thank you. Well, right now.